everyone. Thank you all for coming tonight. I have a few things that I wanted to say, and then Tony LaMalfa is going to speak, and to be honest, I'm not sure what the whole order of things is, so hopefully people will help me out with what we're doing exactly here, but I'm told I'm supposed to go first. So welcome so much. Thank you so much for coming. And for those of you that saw the show, thank you for seeing John and Tony's work. I know that is a perfect way to honor him, is by having people see what he loved to do on stage. I'm going to start with a poem that I've always loved and that I thought really spoke to this situation for me. It's called The Going by Thomas Hardy. Why did you give no hint that night, that quickly after the morrow's dawn, and calmly, as if indifferent quite, you would close your term here up and be gone, where I could not follow with wing of swallow to gain one glimpse of you ever anon? Never to bid goodbye or lip me the softest call or utter a wish for a word while I saw morning harden upon the wall, unmoved, unknowing that your great going had placed that moment and altered all. Why do you make me leave the house and think for a breath it is you I see at the end of the alley of bending boughs, where so often at dusk you used to be, till in darkening dankness the yawning blankness of the perspective sickens me. You were she who abode by those red-veined rocks far west. You were the swan-necked one who rode along the beetling beamy crest, and reigning nigh me would muse and eye me while life unrolled us its very best. Why then latterly did we not speak? Did we not think of those days long dead, and ere your vanishing strive to seek that time's renewal? We might have said, in this bright spring weather, we'll visit together those places that once we visited. Well, all's past amend, unchangeable, it must go. I seem but a dead man held on end, to sink down soon. Oh, you could not know that such swift fleeing, no soul foreseeing, not even I, would undo me so. And this is a poem or a monologue that a friend of John's wrote after he came up to visit us after John's diagnosis in the summer of, this was written during the summer of 2024. Life. A middle-aged person enters from the wing walking backward and waving goodbye to someone off stage. Goodbye, I love you both, thanks for having me, I'll text when I get home. They wander over to the far side of the stage and stop for a moment, look back, wave again, and turn down to the audience. They begin to cry, not weeping, but trying to keep composure and failing. They are not all right. A few moments later, they are able to rally a bit. Fuck. Ooh, life is good, eh? I mean, look at me. I'm really living the dream right now. Good job, good friends. Just a quick glance back off stage. Just got a new car, an amazing family who loves me, more hobbies than I have time for, but that's okay. At least I'm never bored, right? Life is good. Problem is, it's not good for everyone, is it? I'm really struggling to be happy right now, to enjoy the life I have. Wars, disease, suffering, hate, evil. People are truly awful to each other. A lot. But hey, I'm good, so why can't I enjoy it? Sure wouldn't help anyone else for me to just give up this, what do you even call it, privilege, luck, life? Go curl up in a corner and try my hand at suffering, dying. What was it Timothy Leary said in the 60s? Tune in, turn on, and drop out? That was before my time, but I think it's something like, be aware, do good things, and don't participate in the evil shit. I think even Leary had some misgivings about the exact wording later on. Probably because people decided it meant whatever they needed to justify their own crap. I just want to be happy without feeling guilty about being healthy, and they began to break down again. Fuck cancer. My friend has cancer. And all they can do for him is maybe some treatments that will give him an extra month or maybe 2. The miracles of modern medicine. And on top of it all, he and his wife are so wrapped up in the paperwork and legal bullshit you have to go through just to fucking die that they barely have the time or energy to enjoy what little time they have left together. But they made time for me today, to come for a visit, to say goodbye. Fuck. The amazing thing is, too, he's so fucking cool about it, not looking for someone or something to blame, although I'm sure there would be plenty of potential targets for that. The amount of crap in our air, or food, or water. Nope, he's just, what, ready? No, definitely not ready, but chill, at peace. I imagine it was not like that at first, when they told him. Jesus, to hear those words. Oh, and on that, if you're a doctor or nurse and there's any chance you might need to deliver that kind of bad news, make damn sure you have some training in how to do it with compassion, care, grace. His doctor did not. Empathy is both a gift and a curse. On the one hand, you can actually make a difference for someone if you can imagine yourself in their position, how it would feel to be in their shoes. With that, at least you can listen to them, care for them, make it clear that they are not alone, they are loved. Another lingering look off stage. But it hurts so fucking much to feel sometimes. And yet here he is, living his last days like they're his last. You hear people say that. Live life like today is your last. Such a fucking cliche. But okay, here I am, living, no, actually loving life, and feeling guilty as hell because not everyone can. And do you know what we did today? We sat in his living room and talked. We went to the park and watched our dogs playing together. We had a very nice takeout lunch from their favorite Italian restaurant. And then we talked some more about all the things we've done together, about the things we've done since we last saw each other, about the things the rest of us will do after he's gone. That was the hardest, but it was actually what seemed to make him the most happy, to hear that we will go on living, that of course we'll be sad and miss him, but we won't stop living. And then we had to say goodbye. Maybe I'll see him again. Maybe I won't have the chance. I've got a lot to do, and so does he. So I'm going to just go out there and live my life as much as I can, for as long as I'm given. Loving, caring, helping others when I can, staying out of the way when I can't. Just trying to be a better person. And I can live with the guilt I feel, because I do have it good for now. But maybe I'll die tomorrow, and I sure as hell don't want you to stop living if I do. And that was by Matt Korda, who is an actor and director in the Madison area. Matt is actually somebody that we've known since before we came here. We knew him in Colorado, and then he moved to Madison, and we came a year or two later, sort of randomly, to the same area. I hardly know what to say. Thank you all for coming today to honor John. John was the love of my life, and I am so appreciative that he chose to spend so much of his life with me. He was a lover of Star Trek, theater, animals, his family, students of all ages, and his community. He was the sharpest, funniest, most loving person I have ever known. And I'm stunned by his way with words. His ability to persevere through all his challenges with grace and kindness, and his thoughtful and meaningful contributions to the art form that he loves so dearly. John had an organizational skill and a keen eye for detail that made him an exceptional stage manager, a proofreader, a designer, a writer, and a director. He was not above doing any job, and he learned to do sound design, design posters and programs, design and build sets, run boards, work with computers, etc. In some ways, he stage managed our life together and was the most dependable person I have ever known. He did stage manage our wedding. I didn't have to do much, and he kind of said it. He put the sound together, everything was funny. He was and is my person. When he learned of his diagnosis, he was not happy about it, of course. He very much wanted to stay in this world with all of us. And he tried whatever was offered to do so. Unfortunately, there's a lot more research that needs to be done in the realm of pancreatic cancer, and John's cancer was pretty aggressive. November is Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. Please let us choose leaders who will advance cancer and all medical research and who will enable scientists and doctors to find solutions so that we may all benefit. We have a direct role in choosing those people, and it really is important. We had 10 months together after his diagnosis, and I'm so appreciative of those 10 months, although they were the hardest of our lives together. John was honored to be thought so special that his theatrical family would come together to perform for him in a benefit concert that was held for us here in this theater. He was so moved by that. We both were. It was a highlight of his life, and I know neither of us expected that outpouring of love from the community. Thank you for all that you have done for John and for us. This show is a wonderful testament to the work John has done. I want to especially thank Brittany Welch-Pills and Tony LaMalfa, who helped so much with the logistics of putting things together for the memorial in particular. Please take some time to remember him, have some food and conversation, and know that it means the world to me and to John's family that you are all here with us today.
Kissed me right here, and he said, I'll never have the moon. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good. Well, maybe that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let's say before we part, so much of me is made from what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. Now whatever way our story ends, I know you have
So much to do and only so many hours in a day. Hey, hey, hey. Did you know that when the truth is told that you can get what you want or you can just get old? You're gonna kick off before you even get halfway through. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you?
Kiss today goodbye, the sweetness and the sorrow. Wish me luck the same to you, and I won't forget what I did for love. What I did for love.
Look, my eyes are dry. The gift was ours to borrow.
what I did for
Wave at the camera, John. I love you.
I love you too.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I love you. I love you.
I think we need to give Brittany Welch-Pills and her husband Justin a round of applause for assembling that video. And everybody who helps perform to bring that special moment to fruition. My name is Tony LaMalfa. For those I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, for those I do, it's really good to see you. Thank you for being here. And I had the unique pleasure of working with John very closely in the last 3 years of his life. 4 years we really started talking about this play, Armistice, this idea. And I really have to thank Rebecca for sharing John with me for all that time. Some days, I'll be honest, like I had said in the program for this show, Armistice, that preceded our celebration of life for John, we met every Thursday, and we had sushi one week, subs the next, and we would spend a good 8 to 10 hours working together. And had I known how precious time would have been, I would have recorded every conversation we had. But I just remember about halfway through the process thinking, man, Rebecca is so generous to share this time with me, especially after John's diagnosis last May. And then it was very, very interesting because after John passed, Rebecca and I were having many conversations about things, and I had said, geez, Rebecca, you know, I felt like I might have robbed some time from you of that, and it was so beautiful. She said, no. She said, as a caretaker, sometimes you need a break, and John so looked forward to working with you on Armistice and your writing projects, that was something that was really beneficial for her. And it was interesting how that whole time I was thinking, oh boy, geez. And it turned out to be a blessing for both of us to have that time. John really meant a lot to a lot of different people in different ways. And I know in the theater here, he was definitely, if Rebecca was the mother of theater on the Bay from 2011 up to COVID, John was the father, and they captained this ship that brought so many people together, was very inclusive, very uplifting, and so many people who performed tonight, who performed this weekend, and beyond all the shows that we put on here, their talent, their time, their energy, their love, the platform that Rebecca and John built, the scaffolding, the foundation of that we've all grown with over the last 15 years or so, was really, it's because of them that we were able to do some of these amazing things and be the people we are today. And we can't thank you enough for that, you and John. So, John would also talk lovingly of his family, and there were little anecdotes that were written into the script of Armistice that were moments that he would share with me. And stories from home. We get so distracted though. I'd say of the 4 years we really worked on this, we wrote about 1 year's worth. Like a quarter of the time we actually were doing something productive. We get so distracted talking about sci-fi movies or soundtracks for this or interesting historical tidbits. But just that was enough. And I feel really spoiled that I got to spend all that time, especially leading up to when things were really tough, that I got to spend that time with John. Because I really got to know how stoic a person he was. I knew he was level-headed, calm, loving, laughing. He was everything that we needed here at the theater, that we didn't know we needed, and more. And leading up to March of this year, he really took it with a stiff upper lip, and he still supported everyone around him. He was that much of a rock for people, even with the diagnosis and the direction things were headed. And if I had to leave you with anything, it's just that when we were writing Armistice, there was a point where he would always write the scenes with Reverend Leonard. And I would always write the scenes with Wilhelm and Joseph, and how the connective tissue brought those moments together. And there was a survey that I sent out. I was big on surveys with this production. And what did the audience think? Like, what does the cast think about this? What day's going to work best for that? How do you feel about this? I'm sure there was here's another survey. Good God. But when I asked about some moments that were special about Armistice, there were some really funny ones, including Wendy's proposal from her fiancé Brandon. There was scuttlebutt, butt success. But one thing that someone wrote that really stuck out to me was that there's a moment in the play where Leonhard and Wilhelm, who I played, if you hadn't seen the show, have this moment together in the church alone. And Reverend Leonard, expertly played by Ian, says, he sits down and he looks at him and says, "All right, son, you didn't come in here on a Wednesday evening because you were worried about a rally." And the comment in this survey someone had said was, well, you know, when Leonhard talks about Wilhelm like that, especially in the eulogy when he says Wilhelm was the closest thing to a son I'd ever had, this comment said, they felt like John was speaking through that text to me. And it just about broke my heart, because whenever I wrote the character Wilhelm, I always thought that I was talking to John, who I saw as Reverend Leonhard. So to have that relationship and to learn those things sort of retroactively was just, it's something I will carry with me forever. Because one day when we were writing after John's diagnosis, I said, "John, I'll be honest, I would be lying if I didn't say I was fantasizing about us being able to do this indefinitely for years to come, writing plays together. We even started writing a third play together." And he said, he started tearing up and said, "Tony, I wish we could too. But for the 10 months we had after that diagnosis, that was enough. It was more than enough. And like I said, I feel spoiled. But I know John cherished the time that he spent with everybody, with his family, with our theater family, all around the country. And I wanted to leave you with that and say thank you for organizing this. Thank you, Rebecca, for sharing. Thank you for coming here, for accepting the job, to come to little old Marinette, Wisconsin, from all the escapades that you folks had in New York and Colorado and everywhere. Your coming here made an impact that I don't know if you folks will ever fully realize. But the beautiful benefit concert that Brittany and company organized last September was just one way of saying we love you. To you and John, the seats that we have donated to the theater on your behalf, the presence you have, it just means the world to us. And we love you, both of you. So now what I'd like to do is open up the floor for anybody who would like to say something at this moment? Anything? Anyone want to tell a joke? I think would you like to speak, Wayne? All right, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, but thanks for coming up. Thank you for being here. John's brother.
I'm Wayne. I don't do this often. Bear with me. I wasn't going to do anything, but I wanted to say thank all of you for supporting John and Rebecca. Share a little childhood memory that just came to mind. Sunday mornings, when Star Trek came on, John would have a cassette recorder and record every episode and end up memorizing it. So this was back in the 80s, I guess, early or late 70s, but that's one of the fondest memories of my childhood with him. As we all grew up and moved our separate ways, we did not get the time together anymore, of course, as families do. But I would like to have that time back. I'm glad that you all could share his later life. And just thank you all so much for taking care of him and Rebecca and being part of his family.
Hello, I'm John's brother Gerald. Thank you all for having the celebration of life, and thanks very much for putting on the production today. It was a wonderful play. I want to thank Tony and the whole cast and crew. It was fantastic. So our parents, Ann and Larry Thornberry, had 6 kids. And first there were 3 boys in a row, with John being the oldest. And then they skipped a couple of years and had 3 more kids, 2 girls and then me, the youngest. So John was 9 years older than me. My brother Wayne and sister Evelyn are here in the audience, and our siblings, Kevin and Esther, unfortunately were not able to attend. So I'll start with some fun facts. So as a boy, John had the strange ability to sit on the floor or in bed, cross his legs, crisscross his legs, and fold at the waist and fall asleep in his own lap. That's how he slept a lot when he was young. And it was such a curiosity that our parents literally put him in a suitcase in the trunk of the car and brought him to my grandparents' house for them to unzip and discover. The 1960s were quite a different time. In his late teens, John totaled 3 cars in 1 year. Each time he hit either a tree or a utility pole. And each time he only had a scratched up knee and a bloody nose. Also, in childhood, John was terrified of drowning. We even had a swimming pool, and he would go swimming, but he was afraid of putting his head underwater. When John attended Berea College in his early 20s, which is in Kentucky, they required all students to take swimming lessons, complete with swimming underwater, and they helped him conquer that fear. People at church likened us to the Waldens, and for those of you who aren't familiar with that reference, it was a TV show in the very granola 1970s. And like the TV show, we had a big family and lived a rural, hardworking life. We even had our own John boy. Like the character, John was studious, introspective, and always reading or writing something. He worked hard, as we all did, felling trees and splitting firewood, tending to a huge garden, and mowing 6 acres of grass, among various other tasks. Thornberries always pitch into work, but we also complained about it, and we shared a lot of laughs together. John had a very sharp sense of humor, as many of you know, and was well versed in sarcasm, which was the second language in our house due to an overdose of TV shows like MASH and Bugs Bunny. He was certainly one of us, but not quite the same. Rather than exploring the woods like I did, or learning piano or sewing, tinkering in the workshop or working on cars, John had a wall full of books. He was deep into stories, sci-fi, movies, and filmmaking. He made me a lifelong sci-fi fan with shows like Star Trek and movies like Silent Running and Logan's Run. One of the first plays that I recall John being in was a production at the Little Colonel Playhouse near our home. I was only about 10 or 12 years old. I don't recall the name of the name of the play was Extremities. That's right. Extremities? Yeah, Extremities. But John was definitely the bad guy because by the end of it, he ended up bound hand and foot and stuffed into the fireplace. I remember thinking that the theme of the play seemed kind of risque for our little town too. But somewhere in that moment, I thought, I realized that for John to do this kind of work in front of a live audience and do it well, he was not only talented but fearless. Our brother did not come from a family of extroverts and performers. John was exceptional. In adulthood, I perceived John to be a very self-aware kind of person. He was a fierce defender of a person's right to be themselves, no matter what the social norms may be. There were things that I said as a much younger man that he didn't agree with, and he called me out on them. The nerve of that guy. And while it angered me at the time, I came to realize that he was right on those things, and I just needed to realize that whatever I may think of someone else's individuality is irrelevant. Too true. John strived to be the change he wanted to see in the world. He seemed to demand this of himself. Already an introspective person at a very young age, I believe John was made more so through terrible experience. In our Catholic parish school, he was victimized by the actions of selfish adults in positions of authority and trust, and those corrupt and evil people failed John and countless others. But I believe that John, a sensitive, intelligent young boy, grew into a man who had the strength to convert even those terrible experiences into empowerment. He wanted to not only challenge the insensitive words that he heard spoken around him, but to give support to people who also had experienced pain and encourage them to reach their potential in spite of it. He wanted to help people champion themselves. Of my siblings and me, I've come to realize a few things. Of us, John is the most self-actualized. He passionately pursued a fulfilling, lifelong career path in which many never succeed. Yet he proved time and again that he was creative, innovative, driven, and fearless. John is the most community-oriented. He and Rebecca have been integral parts of the theaters and communities in which they have lived and work over the years. The friendship and community that they have found here in Marinette is solid gold. And as we all know, John is the richest man in town. John is, of us, John is the most naturally empathetic. I knew him to be a big-hearted realist who accepted people for who they are because enabling our real selves makes the world a more peaceful, loving, and vibrant place. Out of all of us, John was the courageous one. There's no way I can say enough about our brother. And to be honest, many of you know more about him in his adult life than we ever will. And I envy you that. Mostly I just know that we love him and we miss him. Thank you for being here for him.
Well, I'll go if nobody else will. All right, now that I've got you guys laughing. Is this thing on? Okay. My friends, John's beautiful family, and to those of us who all loved him, I will be brief, because if I'm not, I will cry on the ground, and nobody wants to see that. But something that I would love for you all to think about when it comes time for Christmas, stay with me here, is that, as we've said, if you guys watch It's a Wonderful Life, which is a wonderful movie, think about John, as I always will. And this year, and every year, I think we should all wish a very Merry Christmas to John Thornberry, the richest man in town.
Be brief, Scott, or Ian, or whoever you are. John's 8 years younger than I am, but he's one of my fathers, and I don't find that at all difficult to understand. I had a fairly long but tempestuous relationship with the theater as a young man, and then for quite a while wasn't involved. And I had written that off, and it was nice, but it's not something that I could work with. And John gave me a gift, which was to give me back first my love of theater and then the opportunity to participate in it. And both John and Tony are a big part of that. When we moved out here in 2003, I had grown up on the East Coast, didn't know that many people, generally kind of an introvert, and often felt like I didn't quite fit in. And I did theater with the kids, like working in the back over at high school, and then came over here. And John I love that term, big-hearted realist, because that's John to me. And it was like, I was like, oh, I'll work on sets, I'll paint, I don't know. And then when they were putting on Escanaba in the Moonlight, John and I got to spend a fair amount of time alone painting sets. It was funny because I felt there was still a little feral part of me. And John was like, come here, come sit by this imaginary campfire on the stage. Here, this is your paintbrush, and this is your drill and your hammer. And I'll show you how to do it, and it'll be good. And then we would have sometimes spirited discussions about the relative values of seasons of Star Trek. And, whatever, be sure. So he gave me the chance to be back here. And he also taught me a lot. He's become an integral part of not just my life, but the family's life. Both with Cassidy and her mom, and he and Rebecca are tied to us, and they will be. So, thank you, and thanks.
What the heck, I'll do one more funny thing for everyone here. So, I got to work with John on a bunch of shows. And one of them that I really enjoyed was Fiddler on the Roof. I was Laser Wolf to his Tevye. So we got into an argument. I don't need a microphone, I'm an actor. sorry. That was a little out of bounds, I'm sorry. But this great thing called Facebook, leading up to the show, we had 2 weekends of shows leading up to each performance. Laser Wolf brought his beef with, no pun intended, with Tevye to the Facebook in a series of diss tracks, I guess you could call it, where he would just put down Tevye, and John picked up on it immediately and fired back. And I just did a little digging, and I found some of them I'd like to share. Tevye often talks to no one, even when there are others around, especially when others are around. The sad state of healthcare in Anatevka. Hashtag Team Laser. John replied, what can I tell you? It all started after Laser Wolf sold my family a diseased chicken for Sabbath dinner. Sad state of food sanitation in Anatevka. Hashtag Team Tevye. I'm going to try to find these in order. Facebook is not helping me out here. Tevye forgets to give our beloved rabbi his cheese for the Sabbath. I make sure the rabbi always has plenty of brisket and is never without. Hashtag devout, hashtag Team Laser. John replies, Tevye usually delivers directly to the rabbi, who then gets a little extra cheese because the rabbi is the rabbi. Tevye is willing to bet rabbi never gets extra brisket for free. Hashtag more devout, hashtag stingy butcher, hashtag Team Tevye. Pretty sure Tevye sleeps with the director. We didn't have a reply for that one. And then finally, Tevye just won't shut up. Hashtag better, better to remain silent. Hashtag better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. Hashtag Team Laser. John replies, why should I stop talking? It's my story after all. Hashtag Team Tevye.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay. It's okay.
Hey!
I've sort of adopted the role of stage manager today, so thank you all so much for coming. Obviously, we all are here because we love and miss John. I get a lot of comments like, thank you for what you do for the theater and all of that, and honestly, I would not be doing anything that I do without Rebecca and John. I got so much guidance from him, mentorship. He was always willing to teach He knew everything. We don't honestly have another person here that knows so much about set designing, sound designing, everything, and he was always willing to give his knowledge to people. I'm honored that I was able to be a part of this today and the planning, and that's all I have to say, or I'm gonna start crying. So thank you so much for coming. Please go eat. There's so much food. Eat, tell stories of John, memories, and all of that. Thank you again.